Hi guys, XtraTalk here. We got two Porto fans, and you guys can guess already what we're going to discuss today. It will be about Francisco Conceição. First of all, huge thank you, Rui and Persona, for being on the channel. Before we start, we always do the following. I will go with Rui first. Rui, we always ask how you became a Porto fan, and I will ask Persona the same. But let me start with you. How you became a Porto fan? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, when I was talking to you and inviting you on the channel, you're in the States, right?
Yeah, I'm in the States. I was born here, raised here, but my Portuguese roots are deep in me. And but first off, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I love talking all things Porto. But yeah, I was born here, raised here, and the Portuguese roots and culture is really deep inside of me. But to be honest, I really don't know exactly how I became a Porto fan. When I was 5 years old, that was the era of Mario Jardel when Porto won 5 straight championships, and my entire family is either Benfica or Sporting. So usually I just like to say, I mean, I was 4 or 5, so I just liked them and I was always behind them. I was the oddball in the family that supported Porto. But I like to say that my excuse is that my mother is from the north of Portugal. So I say I support Porto because my roots are from the north.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Persona, welcome. What's your story? How you became a Porto fan?
I became a Porto fan because, well, I'm from the north of Portugal. I live in Braga. It's close to Porto, and all of my family are either most of them are from Braga, but the rest is from they are from they love Benfica. So I was like, or Braga or Benfica. But I had a friend, it's one of my closest friends. He was a Porto fan, and always that I went to his home, his bedroom, he had a lot of photos of the players of legends of Porto, like Deco, Falcão. So I loved that, and I was really into that. And then it was like love at first sight when I go to Porto for my first time when I was a kid, and I saw that incredible stadium, the Estádio do Dragão. It's an amazing stadium, so it was like love at first sight.
Awesome stories, guys. Honestly, it's funny though because last time we spoke with the Rangers fan, and they were basically born into becoming a Rangers fan. Your story is completely different. It's always fun to know how people become a fan of a club, of a football club. Yeah, right. Tell me.
Yeah, normally in Portugal we have like a division from the north and the south of Portugal. So most of the south of Portugal are from Benfica or Sporting, and on the north of Portugal, most of the Portuguese people, they love more their city clubs. So in Braga we have a lot of fans from Braga. In Guimarães we have a lot of fans from Vitória of Guimarães. In Porto we have Porto or Boa Vista, but mostly Porto. So it's like we see that rival, that battle that Portugal and the South has. So most of the North either support Braga, like Braga people, but they also support Porto, because Porto is the only one fighting for titles. It's the only one at the North representing Portugal and the North of Portugal. So it's a kind of funny thing.
It's funny, yeah. It's funny. It's actually very funny. Guys, so look, we invited you guys. We want to talk about Francisco Conceição because one of the signings this summer, we had a couple of signings. We lost many players, but we also signed many players. I think if from Ajax perspective, if I can speak on behalf of them, if we look at all the signings we had, I think this is the most surprising one because this was unexpected. I don't know if for you guys it was also equally unexpected, but my question to you, and I will start with Rui. Rui, how did you react? Because there were rumors first about this, and then the rumors were basically said, no, it's not going to happen. And then it happened. So 5 million. We signed him. He has a release clause. He had a release clause, and we just paid for it. And he also made a decision to come to Ajax. So tell me your reaction, the fans' reaction as well, as far as you can judge.
We couldn't believe it. We heard the rumors at first, and immediately Porto have a history, especially as of recently, to sell their players for dirt cheap, selling players like Vitinha and Fabio Vieira for prices of players that we sold in 2013, 2012, 2014. So with the whole rumors going to Ajax at first, was like, no way they can do this. Then there was news coming out right after the rumors that they were in talks to renegotiate his contract. He was staying and everything. And I was like, okay, this is yeah, he's definitely staying. There's no, why is he going to go to Ajax? You know? Then when it actually happened, it was just, it was a total shock because how could the club let this happen? And to be honest, we don't really know. At least I don't know. I've been trying to find out what some of the reasons were. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of conspiracies that a lot of fans have. Maybe it's not wanting to play for his dad, who's the coach. Maybe he wants a new challenge somewhere else, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a huge shock, and it was frustrating because just 5 million euros for a kid that is a golden boy, that is named the Messi of Olival, and that's not a name that gets just tossed around. Like when you are a young player, all these scouts throughout Portugal have kept an eye on him. Sporting, he was part of the Sporting Youth Academy, one of the best youth academies in the world. Porto is now becoming one of the better youth academies in the world. That name being thrown at him, it's not a joke. It's not something that to be taken lightly. So it was so frustrating because I think of all of the players that we've grew throughout the years, whether they were from our youth academy or from abroad when they arrived at a young age. I think he's going to be one of the better ones that we ever produced, and it's a shame that he left just for 5 million.
Interesting. Persona, what's your take on this? Do you agree with Ree, and do you have any other stuff maybe to add to this?
Well, I have other stuff. Well, everything that Rui said, it was true, and it is true. But I wasn't expecting that he would stay at the club. I actually was expecting that he leave for Ajax because in Portugal, the media were after him because he was the son of the coach, because the media talked a lot, and the newspapers put him on the first line, saying that he died, saying that he is not a good player, saying that he's only playing because of his dad being the coach. But that only happened when he started to play on the first squad of Porto, because when he was playing back there on Sporting, every coach loved him. But since he come to Porto, there was like that that those rivals, the haters, that the Sporting fans or Benfica fans, they didn't like that change, and they starting to make him to make his image bad. So it's a lot of pressure for a kid with only 19 years old. So it's normal that he wants to leave. He wants to have most minutes, better minutes, because he said he was a coach and he didn't have much of opportunities as he should have more minutes. So he wants to leave, and he needed another change of air. He needed to get out of Portugal. So I think it was a good decision, but it was a bad decision for the Porto side.
Let me ask you. I will start with you, Persona, and then Ree, you can comment on this as well. Listening to what you guys are saying, right? Do you think that extra pressure on him, his father, who was a good player, being the coach, is that extra pressure on him? Maybe apart from the media, apart from that people are looking at him and he has certain things, but his name, that name, that he has on his back, is that the extra pressure that everything is looked at and scrutinized, basically?
Yes, I think it was an extra pressure that he had to hold on to it, because it's his name and his father's legacy, but he has to build another. And I think that he is a kid with a great mentality, with a strong mentality. I've seen a lot of Portuguese talents and other talents around the world, and I never saw a kid with his mentality. He knows what he needs to do. He is focused, and he doesn't get on that media side. I don't think that the media was the full reason that he left. I think that the full reason that he left is because in Porto, because of his name, because of all the things they said. He had to work he had to work harder than the other players to be able to play for the 11th squad because his dad was a coach, and that's the reason. His dad is a person, and everyone knows that in Portugal that he's a person who likes to players to play hard, to give everything on the pitch. But when it comes to his son, like he wants he wants him to do even better, so he pushes him hard. And
Yeah.
we have
Would you say, Persona, that he was his father was harder or harsher on him than other players
yes,
because
yes,
of the
and
belief you didn't want the media to think, oh, you're playing your kid
yes,
right now.
yes. Yes, and
Okay.
you have a lot of these examples. We have now we have when we had Luis Diaz, he was Francisco was the one that entered after, like on the 60 minutes figure to change the game and to put more speed on the right side because Otavio isn't really fast. So if we have Luis Diaz on the left and Francisco on the right, we have that wing with both wings with full speed. But when Luis Diaz left, we had that problem. Luis Diaz left to Liverpool, and we have a gap, and we need players to fight for it. And we had Francisco, who was doing good, who was doing going, and we had Pepe, who came from Grêmio, and Pepe made 6 games on uh, on the 11th squad, 6 games in a row. Those 6 games were terrible, horrible. But he didn't take him off one time. He always played with him. After those 6 games, he was really bad. After those six games, he was amazing. But to a guy that has like I think he has 24, 25 years old. He has some games on his career, but he needed those 6 games, those 6 bad games to be on the 11th squad and to be now the player that he is. But he didn't give that to Francisco. And we have also Galeno, that was a player that Porto bought to Braga, and he until now didn't give anything to prove his worth. So
Okay.
I think it proves it all.
Yeah, Reed, what's your overall opinion on this? You know, like the extra pressure. Do you think that? I mean, you said there are a lot of conspiracy theories. Do you think this makes more sense if you rationalize it? I mean, looking at the pressure and all these kind of things. And I will touch upon the business side of the matter as well, because 5 million for a player like that is unheard of. So, if you want, you can also take that into account in your answer.
Yeah. You know, it's a lot of pressure for Francisco to play for your dad, and the type of person, the type of manager that Sergio Conceição is, he's super, super direct. I guess the Dutch would love that guy because he doesn't care. Very, very direct person, and he says what's on his mind. And I remember exactly. And this could be, I don't know, this could be a humiliating or an embarrassing moment for Francisco. But there was a point where he was in a post game conference, and Sergio Conceição said, "Yep, my son lives with me, but I took him and I dropped him off at the bus station. I'm not taking him and giving him a ride to the stadium. He's going to be dropped off at the bus station and he's going to be treated just like everyone else." Which is a good thing. You kind of want that. You don't, especially when your son is on your team, you don't want to see any sort of partisan or favoritism towards a family member on the team. He wanted to treat everyone. He wanted to send a message to everyone, whether it's the media, the players, the fans, etc., that everyone is going to be treated equally. And I agree with Persona. I think at times he was a little hard on his son in terms of not putting him in games. Um, where he probably should have been tried to play. But I felt like this coming season was the season for him to actually make a name for himself. You know, if you look at the squad that we have right now, there's so many players right now that are looking to integrate themselves in that starting 11 because the starting 11 isn't finalized yet. And watching Sergio Conceição over the years, he usually has that starting 11 and he keeps it. He might change a couple of players every now and then, but he just keeps it. Right now, he doesn't have a starting 11, and Francisco had that opportunity to be the guy, his potential, everything to be the next Luis Diaz, to be the Vitinha, to be the Fabio Vieira of this year, and unfortunately, it's not meant to be. And I think a lot of what Persona was saying about the media being hard on him. I can understand why now. That's my first time hearing that about the media being hard on the kid. I can kind of understand him wanting to leave and go to a club like Ajax, who are very much similar to Porto. So it's a great opportunity for him because Ajax is arguably the best club in the world at producing young players.
Yeah. What about the business side? Because I touched upon it a little bit. The thing that I don't understand, I'll be very blunt as a Dutch person. Sorry for that. How is it possible that the way you guys are describing the player, apart from the fact who his father is, but the golden boy, basically, you guys you said it. How is it possible that this kid can be picked up by Ajax for 5 million? Where did it go wrong? Because this is something I don't understand. Usually, Portuguese teams, I'm saying, especially Porto, Benfica, even Sporting, you guys have everything tight, in terms of the contract. If somebody comes for a player, they really have to pay. So what's going on? Do you guys have problems financially, or is there something going on?
I think it's just the mentality of the board. I think they're just too stuck behind with the times. They haven't really gotten with the times. Benfica have done excellent in the last 3 years. Porto were excellent for the first 15, 16 years of this century in terms of selling players, setting the bar, setting the price, selling them for the perfect price. But within the last four years or so, they just they haven't come with the times of the market. So, like I mentioned, we're selling players like Vitinha and Fabio Vieira for the same price, and Luis Diaz for the same price that we sold for Hulk, Falcao, and Jackson Martinez. These are guys from 8 years ago. This was before the Neymar sale that inflated the value of players. So this is where the bad business is. And also slapping a 5 million euro release clause on a youth product player that has the potential of being something great still doesn't make sense. Even if it was 2 or 3 years ago when they made the clause, not enough, not the right decision. And then, it gives teams the opportunity like Ajax to take advantage of the situation and just pay the 5 million, offer it. And if the player wants to come, he can come. And that's exactly what happened. The club
Yeah.
can't do much about it.
Yeah, Persona, I wanna touch upon that a little bit more. Can you react also on the fact, because maybe he's a young player? I think he's 19 now. How does
Yes,
it work in
19.
Portugal in terms of youth players signing contracts? Because here in Holland, you sign your professional contract when you're 18. Did he sign a new contract when he was 18, or did he still have the youth contract? Maybe this is
Well,
something I'm wondering.
the thing in Portugal is that normally we don't know that for sure because that there are things that aren't published yet. But there are rumors that he had two contracts and he signed one year ago. So when he signed that professional contract, he had that 5 million release clause, and he already proved that he was a good player for Porto. He already had some games from Porto. I think he already played in the Champions League versus Chelsea. So when that contract was made, those 5 million were discussed, and I don't think it's the blame of the player or the agent. It's a problem with the board because in Portugal we have a big problem that we have a great structure considering football, considering the tactics, the coach, the staff, everything. It's good, that it's strong, and I think that we have everything to keep going and to keep being a good club and getting titles. But I think that the board needs to change. I think that the board has some problems, has some problems with a lot of board members that want to keep the money to themselves. So I wonder if those 5 millions are really 5 millions, or it were even more millions, but they didn't declare those millions, because in Portugal it's quite normal to not declare a lot of money. And when it comes to football, even worse, because we have an example of the Braga coach who was bought by the Sporting, who is now the coach of Sporting, that is Ruben Amorim, and Sporting didn't pay for like 2 years, or 1 year or 2 years. They didn't pay for the coach. It's strange. So those deals are strange deals that I don't know if they are true or if there's something more in there. But besides of it, we have an example that in this season we let 5 players that play on the youth league of Porto and won the youth league. We left Vitinha go. We left Fabio Vieira go. We left Luis Diaz go. We left Francisco go, and all of that was for a very low price. Like Luis Diaz was worth like what, 50 million?
Basically, all
And
of them were sold for the same price as Darwin.
yeah,
Darwin Nunez.
basically. And
All of them.
Darwin,
All of them, you mean? All of
yeah,
them.
All of them together, yeah. Well, just about.
and
Just about.
don't get me wrong, but Darwin was a good player, and he's a good player. He's proving himself in Liverpool now. But he was a player that he's the type of player that is not that complete comparing to others in Portugal, like Evan Nilsson. Evan Nilsson is a great forward with a great technique and with a great talent. That when he leaves Porto, I bet that he will not live higher than Darwin. He will live like for 40, 50 million. So
Wow.
it's
Okay.
strange.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I'm a bit surprised about how things are going there, and thank you for explaining that. I wanna move a little bit away from the situation at Porto, and I want to talk really about the player, because I think a lot of our viewers, they want to really know your opinion about Conceição. You guys touched upon him. You guys see him, the Porto fans see him as the golden boy and these kind of things. Can you elaborate a little bit more if you look at his abilities? What's the thing that separates him for you compared to the other youth players you saw, or the fact that he was about to have a breakout season at Porto this season if he would have stayed? Let me go with Reed for that one first.
Yeah, I think we already mentioned the Messi of Olival, short, speedy player, technically sound. He is so good with the ball on his feet, and it's so natural. Much like how Messi controls the ball, much like players like Phil Foden, even a player like Bernardo Silva, people that just have that natural vibe and style to the ball. The way every time the ball comes off the foot, every dribble that is made, it's just so smooth. Um, he's a hard worker. He's definitely got that from his father and playing at Porto. Porto's always been known to have players that work really hard, leave everything onto the pitch. He can create he can get out of a lot of tight situations where there's two players on him. He can extend play. He's really good at whipping crosses into the box. And on a couple of occasions, he scored two big goals that ended up giving us a win late on as a super sub. So he always rises. He's rose to the occasion on quite a few moments that he didn't have too many of, and he's always made the most of it. I think in the long run, he's more than capable of being one of the better players in the world. Definitely like a Mo Salah, Bernardo Silva level. Much like Anthony right now, he would be a great replacement for Anthony. I think there's a lot of similarities between the two, even though that they're not exactly the same style of player. But he'd be an excellent replacement, and he'd be another big sell at Ajax where they can make a lot of money given for what they paid for him.
Interesting. Interesting. Persona, do you agree? Do you agree with Reed, or do you want to add something to this?
Yes, I agree with him. Chico has a lot of potential. He has a huge talent. and that nickname that he has of Messi do Olival, Messi from Olival, uh, coaches gave them that name to him. It was coaches who gave that name, either coaches who trained him or coaches who played against him. They saw the quality that that player has, the touch with the ball, the way that he passes through players, dribbling. He puts the ball on his left feet, and he's really like Messi playing. I never saw a player equal
Yeah.
playing with a play style like Messi. It's Francisco. Francisco has everything to be good, and he's a particular thing that I only saw in two players outside. That is Messi and Dybala, and it's called an hyperactive dribble. An hyperactive dribble is when you move the 2 feet really fast, but you barely leave them from the ground, and
Yeah.
that makes the defenders go like, "Where is he going? Where is he going?" And he does that, and that is really hard to do because you can lose balance, and he sometimes does that. He loses balance, but he's really quick, so he goes another game and he has a ball, and that's amazing, and that's a quality that he has is natural to him. And I think that Ajax fans will love that. And if he has some minutes, if the coach gives him some minutes, he will show all of his qualities.
Sounds all very amazing, honestly. Right now, he's just getting acquainted with the first team, and he's getting some minutes with the young Ajax, which plays in the second division. So he already made his debut. He played there. He scored as well, so he was very good. One other thing. So we're talking about the good things about him. What's one of the things that he can improve to be a solid first starter for our team, but also maybe to be eligible for the Portuguese team in the future? What's your take on that, Persona?
I think that he has some weakness, and normally people talk about his physicality, but I don't think that his physicality is an issue because you have very examples of players that are not very tall, like Messi, Dybala. So then they can move around it. And Bernardo Silva, who is like for like 6 years on 6 years on the Premier League, he shows that he doesn't need physicality to be a good player and an excellent player. So I think that he has a problem, and it is a lack of time, a lack of minutes. He doesn't have those minutes, those extra games to know one thing about what he actually does. That is dribbling. If you watch Francisco dribbling, you can see you when you dribble, you see two things. You can do two things, or you make the move and try to pass through the defender, or you try to follow the defender and try to guess or try or wait for the defender to make a move and then pass through him. When you watch Chico, you don't see much that on him. He always goes into them. He is an hyperactive player. That could be good or bad. It depends. It depends on the quality of the player. Luckily, the quality of the player makes that he has an incredible rate of dribbling. I don't know the actual numbers, but I think he has like in 7 dribbles he can execute 5, and that's pretty good. So I think that's a huge problem that I see on him, and that is lack of game time. And then the other weakness that I don't really call them a weakness. I call them more practical things that you learn when you're in the game. That when you should pass, when you should be more accurate with the right foot, things like that. But I think that's playtime. That's a secret because he's not a bad passer. He actually
Yeah.
has a good cross. He's not a bad shooter. He actually has a good shoot. So that's playtime. I think that's the worst thing on him.
All right,
Yeah.
Green. What's your take? What's your exactly that?
Spot on. 100% spot on. I think Persona checked off everything in terms of. I like how he mentioned the lack of playing time because I think that's where his weaknesses show. The lack of experience, sometimes his decision making when he's on the ball, whether it's trying to dribble too much or the decision making on the passes. Is he late? Is he early? Is he making them at the right time? Is he timing the runs of the strikers perfectly? He has the capabilities of it, no doubt about it. But the lack of playing time, the lack of experience on the pitch, the lack of chemistry can hold you back. And he's young. He's 19 years old. You know, you can't fault him for that. Every 19-year-old, unless if you're Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, even them at that time were making poor decisions. So I think the physicality is a great point, but you can make up for it for the qualities that he has, the smarts, the understanding of the game, the technique, the ability to cross, the ability to get a great shot off. He has a great left foot. So the physicality is one thing. The height is another. Obviously, that's part of the physicality. So he's not going to have a great aerial game, but once again, the other qualities that he has will compensate for it. So I guess it's just all a matter of getting getting in tune with the Ajax system, getting minutes, and I think they're gonna get the best out of him. And with time, it's just going to get better. He's gonna make those passes correctly. He's gonna time the passes. He's gonna time the dribbling. He's gonna be more disciplined because he's just so raw right now that he needs to be tamed. And once he's tamed and polished, it's gonna be lights out. I think he really just has that potential of being great and being at that Ajax system where his play can really adapt probably even better more at the Ajax total football than it would at Porto. I think it's going to be great for him over there.
Let me ask you guys two things, right? Two additional things. First of all, you guys touched upon his left foot. I haven't seen him play a lot. So what about his other foot, his weak foot? Is that something, or does he really has to pick that up going forward? What's your opinion on that?
I think usually for left-footed players that are pretty dominant, tend to have like a weaker right foot. But I think he has a pretty solid right foot. It's not at all weak at all. I think it's above average for left-footed superstars. I think it's better than Messi's right foot. I think it's better than Mohamed Salah's right foot. I think it's better than Bernardo Silva's right foot. So he's capable of getting some good shots with his right foot and even whipping in crosses.
Okay, all right. And one other
Yeah,
thing, yeah, go ahead,
yeah.
Prashant.
He actually has a goal from the natural from the Portuguese sub 21, I think, or 23. He has a goal with a right foot.
Okay,
He I don't know if you saw the video, but he was dribbling, and then he the defender thought that he was going to shoot with a left foot, and he pushed it to the right side. The defender went through, and he just shot with his right foot, and he scored. He actually has
for me,
a good right foot.
yeah, for me, this is very important. I mean, even if your right foot or your weaker foot is not that good, but the confidence to still go with that foot, you don't see that often in professional football. If somebody has a weaker foot, you see them go back to that strong foot because they want to be sure. And for me,
Yeah.
this is important because it means he wants to improve. He wants to take that risk.
Yes, yes. I
I
think
like
that the most thing that I like about him is like I love watching football and watching talented players, and I almost cry when I watch Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi play. And the thing that I love about Francisco is that he has both qualities. He has an actually good physic. He is really good physically. If you see him without the shirt, he's shred, which is amazing compared to Messi. Messi he isn't shred. That doesn't have a lot of muscle. He actually has some muscle. Some muscle. He has a huge leg. Messi doesn't have huge legs. He has huge legs. That's what makes him to be so much quick. And I think he has that strong mentality that Ronaldo has. And I think that's the two of them combined. And I think that with a great coach, if he starts to play now, some more minutes. I'm not saying if that he should play on 11 squad. That depends on throughout the season. But I think that the coach should put him sometimes at the start of the game, because at Porto that didn't happen much, and I'm seeing a lot of coaches do that, and I think that burns the career of a brilliant talented player like Francisco.
Yeah, I wanted to ask this as well. You guys are touching upon it, but I mean, if you can describe Conceição, right, one word or one thing that really separates him from the rest, it can be a football quality, it can be another quality, but something that describes him as a personality. What would you say is this is Chico basically for you guys? I know it's a hard question, but maybe if you can just put it into one sentence, one word or something. Rui, I will go with you first.
Uh,
Tough one, I know.
yeah, it's hard to just sum up one a
Because,
player.
because for instance, you guys mentioned a couple of times already, both of you, mentality. And for a young player, this is not something you hear a lot. But you guys are really fixating on, look, this guy has a tough mentality, also from his father, but also how he was treated. And for us, it's also it's a comfort because a young player going to another country, especially a Portuguese player coming to Holland, that doesn't happen. I mean, almost never happens. So
Yeah.
it gives a little bit of comfort, like, okay, he has the makings of being successful, apart from his football abilities, like you guys described. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I had to
Yeah,
choose a word, there's two of them, and I already touched up on them. It's either natural or smooth, because of just the way he is as a player. If I wanted to sum up his mentality, maybe resilient would be a good word for him, because I think he can really just come out of anything, any sort of crisis, any sort of slump. Say if he's going through a slump of bad games, he can dig himself out of it. And that's just the mentality that he basically grew up with, being at Conceição and just being at Porto. The mentality is a lot different. You have to be hardworking. You have to be mentally sharp. So um, those are words that would sum up with him.
All right. Persona, your take, you want to add something to that?
those words are pretty good. But I was thinking about two words. One of them is one word that I heard a friend of mine called him when he saw him for the first time. I was watching a Portugal game. It was against Boa Vista. It was when he entered the squad. He made his first appearance, and I already have told him to my friend about the Francisco, about his talent, and he told me, "Let me see, let me see." He wasn't expecting when the first pass came to him. It was a high ball, I think. He like does this to the ball. The ball comes and he does a movement with the ball and he puts the ball right on his feet. He looks to me and he says, "This is a golden ball. He will be a golden ball." He just said golden ball. And we had Tecatito Corona, Reus
Mhm.
Corona, that he is a great player and an amazing player who had a touch with the ball incredible. And he said to me that
I've
the
noticed.
top ball
Yeah.
is better than Tecatito, and it's hard to have a touch ball better than Tecatito. And my second word is uh, strong mentality. I think it's that because uh, with his mentality, there is a history when he was playing for the youth Porto academy. He had an injury that he was like some months to recover, and he was a kid. I think he was like 15, uh, something like that. And he had a talk with his coach on that squad, and he said that that coach asked him, "What is your dream? What you want to be?" And he said, "My dream is to be a professional player from Porto, but it is hard because my father is there, he already knew with 15 years old that it was going to be hard, and with that injury, he was a little fat because he couldn't walk. So he was like uh, bad with himself, and he knew it was going to be a strong battle. And the coach said to him, "You can't give up. You need to fight." And I know your father, Conceição, and I know that he will be ready when you are ready. He will put you, and he will call you. And that is what happened. Actually, the coach Conceição, uh, there is a funny story that he coached him, he trained him, and because he was fat, there's a story that his brother told to I think it was the 11 squad, the 11 uh, I don't know the name. That doesn't matter. He made an interview and he said that when the Francisco had hungry, his father said, "Are you hungry? Drink water."
Hmm.
And that was kind of funny because you don't see that too much, and he has that mentality. He fought for that. He lost weight, and then he made his debut 2 years from here, and he has an incredible physique, and I think that those two words describe him very much: huge and strong mentality and the golden boy talent.
Amazing, guys. Honestly, I mean, I'm very hyped. I'm listening to you guys already for quite some time, more than half an hour, 40 minutes. And I think all the viewers also were like, wow, we're signing like the next Messi. We're the next Messi here. I want to, yeah, it seems that way. Guys, I want to just throw two things at you, and then I will finalize with one final question, which is more related to you guys. Because we touched upon a lot of things. One thing I'm questioning, because you mentioned that he used to be injured when he was younger. You see a lot with these type of players because they're very explosive, and fast and need all these kind of things. But also physicality-wise, they're short and stuff like that. Apart from Messi, but you see that other players, type of players that are a little bit similar, tend to be also injury prone. It's very hard. He's young. We don't know yet. But in terms of his history at Porto, how is his injury record? Is that okay? Is it? I mean, what can you tell us about that, Rui?
Yeah,
As
he
far as
hasn't
you know.
been. Yeah, as far as I know, given that he really hasn't had too many opportunities to play, I can't really recall too many major injuries where he was out for an extensive period of time or anything like that. So for the most part, I think he's been pretty durable, reliable, fit, and whatnot. There may have been a couple of occasions where he picked up a knock or two, but it was nothing serious to my knowledge in the
Okay.
last couple of years.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead, Fernando.
I think that I don't know how much time he was on the recovery when he had that injury that he put on some weight, unfortunately. But I know that after he was injured, he scored a lot of goals, and he was the most goal scorer on the youth team on this season when he was like 15. He was like
Yeah.
15, and the other guys were like 19 because
Yeah.
they weren't able to play. They didn't have the COVID to get higher, and he was playing with those guys, and he scored a lot of goals. And after an injury, and he didn't have much game.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
says a lot about him, like being at
Yeah,
15,
yeah,
16 years old, playing with 17, 18, even 19-year-olds and
yeah, yeah,
just performing.
Yeah. I mean, if you're very good, that's also what happens at Ajax in the youth academy. If you're really
Right.
good, they go up with the resistance level at higher ages. So it makes sense. One more thing. It's interesting. I don't know if you know this name. We have a player who's called Mohamed Kudus. He's a player from Ghana,
I know.
and yeah, exactly. So we had a recording a couple of weeks ago, and we invited a couple of people to talk about him. And there was a person from Ghana, basically, and he knows a lot about Kudus. And he said something very interesting, and I want to relate it a little bit to Conceição quickly, just to know if you guys agree, yes or no, on this opinion. He said that players like Kudus, who are naturally dribblers, they like to dribble. Sometimes it looks like these players they don't like to defend, but that's not true because when you start a dribble costs a lot of energy. It drains a lot of energy on the player. So you see also with Messi or other type of players, they have to fixate a little bit on the attacking side because when they get the ball, they have to put all their energy in the attack. And coming now to Conceição, looking at his type of play, is he a little bit that type of player? How is his endurance level? Because at Ajax, it's very important also for the wingers to defend, to track back, and all these kind of things. So this is the question that I want to ask. I know you guys are laughing, but I need to ask this question.
That's a good question.
You go first.
Yeah.
Tell me why you guys are laughing already. Tell me.
Because
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm laughing because that's a really good question, and I know that is a normal question for every club, for almost every club. But in Porto, you don't play if you don't have good stamina. If you don't run, you don't play. Actually, that's what happened when he was injured and he put some pounds. His father made him run. I think it was 15 kilometers per day. He run that every day or more, between 15 and 20 kilometers per day.
When was this exactly? How long ago was this?
I think it was when he was like 16, 15, 16, before he entered Porto B. You can see some videos and you can really watch him play with some weight, with more weight that he used to be, and if you watch full games from Porto, especially Porto B, that it was when he played full minutes, he actually defends a lot. He's a player that runs, but when he loses the ball, he goes back and he runs after the player that got the ball. And actually, the last game that he played for Ajax, I don't know if it was a friendship. I think it was a friendship. He was wearing the away kit. I think it was a friendship. He went in, he lost the ball, and then he saw in his head, he said, doing this. And he started to run. He first do that and starting to run, like doing this, lost him a couple of space between him and the defender. But he catches the defender when he was ready to cross the ball on the other side of the pitch. So it's amazing the stamina that he has, and that's why we were laughing because normally in Porto, so we have players with a lot of stamina.
Awesome. Yeah, Rui, you agree? You agree?
Spot on, and this is one of the reasons why that I think he's going to fit in so well at Ajax. Ajax is just a club that, they're much like Porto. They just play a little bit more beautiful than we do, like in terms of a more possession style play, controlling the game, but a lot of wingers, a lot of attackers, they lose the ball and they just have that automatic instinct of just stepping back. But over here at Porto, even if you're a striker like Taremi, who works really hard, you can be Luis Diaz. Doesn't matter who you are. Francisco Conceição, you lose the ball, you track back and you go after it just the same way you lost it. You want to get the ball back.
Yeah, it's not only Conceição's basically his ruling; it's the Porto culture, basically.
Pretty much. But Sergio Conceição really took that mentality and that style of play to kind of like another level, where you go and get that ball. You lose it, you get it back as quickly as you can. You don't give up on it. Or you're out. You're out. Yeah, if you give up, you're out. And that's a great mentality to have. Because a lot of young players don't have it. A lot of young attackers aren't really familiar with that sort of style of play, that sort of mentality. So when you're going into Ajax, who are a high pressing team that play great football, you have to, when you lose it, you have to go and get it back. You have to chase. You got to force those traps to win that ball back. That's part of being in control of the game, is getting back that possession and controlling it. To control possession, you need to get the ball back. And if you can get it from up top with your attackers and in your midfield and not just from defense, it's golden. I mean, you're an Ajax fan, so you definitely know. You definitely
Yeah,
know.
I know, absolutely. Look, I said this is the final question, but I mean, I'm always very curious about stuff. One more question, if that's okay with you. I will start to agree about this. One of the things I like, you said, like, okay, he's a perfect successor of Anthony eventually because he fits the Ajax style, all these kind of things. It's a match made in heaven, according to you. One of the things I like about wingers in general or attackers in general, the thing you see with Anthony is when he does something, usually his success rate is much higher now than it was before. But if it doesn't succeed, he doesn't hold back the next time. So he keeps going at it. He doesn't, his confidence level doesn't drop in that sense that he thinks, okay, I'm going to play safe now. This is a very important thing for me to know about Conceição. Is he also that type of player that if he gets the ball, he does the first 2-3 dribbles or stuff that he tries, doesn't work out? Does this affect his game, or it doesn't matter to him, he will try again?
No, that's why I chose the word resilient for his mentality, because he could be having a bad game, he could miss a pass, he can miss a dribble, he can miss a shot. He's gonna go right back at it. He's not gonna be afraid. Doesn't matter. It could be prime Paolo Maldini in front of him. He's gonna just keep going at it, and if he loses it, he loses it. But he's just gonna keep going until he gets it right. And that's once again, it's that mentality.
Yeah,
He has that in Portuguese, that garra, he has that grit,
Rafa.
where he's just gonna keep going. He's gonna give it 100%. So it's really great to see that in an attacker, to have that, like, that resilient, tough mentality, that challenging mentality. He has it. He definitely won't give up.
All right. Look, guys, it was honestly a pleasure to have you on the show. But I have to ask you one final question. It's more related to you guys. Do you have, do you think that eventually, maybe later in his career, at some point, he will return back to Porto? What do you guys think?
I think he will return because he has an ego. Everyone has an ego, and his dream and his ego it was to become one of the Porto legends, and he will want to come back and become the player that he wanted to become. Unfortunately, I don't know if he will become if he will come back next year. I don't know. Probably not. Probably he wants to follow his career, follow his dreams to involve and be a good player at Ajax and become one of the best players at Ajax, if not the best, because I think that he has the quality to be the best player in the world, no doubt, and I'm sure of it. So I just wish him the good luck, and I hope that the coach knows what he's doing because he was born
We hope so
already.
too. We hope so
Because
too.
he was born already by his father, so I
Yeah.
hope that he has a good coach. Because the secret of players like Messi and Ronaldo are coaches that knows what they are doing, and they like Ferguson knew what Ronaldo had, and he knew how to work with him. He put him on the starting 11 right when he came, and he gave him the seventh number. So
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
pretty useful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope this coach
The
does
coach
the
is
same.
always very important for a player. I mean, it's evident. Rui, you have, I didn't even mention this, but I have to mention this. You have a podcast together with some friends, I think, or people you
Yep.
know.
Yeah,
It's called Porto, a Porto podcast in English. Am I correct?
yeah. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. I will put it in the link description below for the ones interested. Maybe some Porto fans are looking, or maybe other football fans are interested. I'm really, honestly, on behalf of the crew, on behalf of everyone, I think the viewers will also appreciate your take. Thank you very much, Persona. Thank you very much, Rui.
Thank
All
you
right.
for having us on.
Thank you.